In this video, we're going to cover transformations. We're going to be paying attention to congruency and also if objects are similar. As covered in class, a transformation is a sequence of motion that will change the object's location or direction. It can also change the size. The main transformations are reflection, rotation, translation, and dilation. Now the next word is congruent. Two objects are congruent if one can be created by using transformations from the other object. That means that the figure will have exactly the same measurements, including the angles and the length. So the definition will be the same shape, the same size, and the same angle measurement. That means that you should be able to grab a figure and put it on top of the other one, and they should be identical. Lastly, we're going to be talking about similar. Two figures are similar if they have the same shape, they have the same angles and proportions, but they're not necessarily the same size. So that means that they're going to have the same shape. Sometimes they will have the same size, and sometimes they're going to be a little larger or a little smaller. It is very important to note that if the figures are congruent, that means that the figures are also going to be similar. Now, if they are similar, it doesn't mean that they're always going to be congruent. Let's look at the example. The problem says, determine if the figures are congruent, similar, or neither. Okay, so we're going to be paying attention to figure A being transformed into figure B. Now, the first thing that we need to identify is a transformation. As you can see, figure A moved a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. Okay, now even though the distance between the two figures it's 3 units, we're trying to make this point actually be in this point right here. So again, the first thing that we need to know is identify the transformation. So to make sure, again, we're going to put a dot in the bottom left, and then we're going to do it also on the prime figure. To know how many units you're moving, you're going to count from this point to this point. That means you're going to be moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So again, it was a translation, 7 units to the right. Now, you need to figure out if the objects are the same shape. In this case, we're going to be dealing with rectangles. Okay, they look like rectangles, so our answer is yes, they are the same shape. Since we already know that there was a transformation performed, we already know that the objects have the same shape, we already know that these objects are going to be similar. Now we need to figure out if they're going to be congruent. Okay, for this problem we're just going to count. So we're going to start with the height. The height is going to be 2 units, so let's write that down. The height is 2 units. And now we're going to be paying attention to the base or the width. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 units. Let's do the prime image, A prime. So we have 2 units tall, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 units wide. So we're going to write it as figure A is 2 by 4 and figure A prime is 2 by 4 as well. From our definition, we know that figures are congruent if they have the same shape, same size, and same angles. In this case, if they have the same shape, then they're going to have the same angle measurement. Question is, are the figures congruent? Yes, they are congruent because they have the same shape and same size. Now I want you to grab your tracing paper and trace figure A. Once you've traced figure A, I want you to move it 7 units. So when we move it 7 units, we're going to put it right on top of the other figure. Now, since the other figure is completely covered, we're going to say that they're congruent because one fits on top of the other one. Now you're going to find the proportion between the figures. So we know that we're going to be comparing figure A. So we're going to compare the proportion between figure A and figure A prime. So to find the proportion, we're going to check the height divided by the base. And that needs to be equal to the height divided by the base of A prime. We know that the height of A is 2 and the base is going to be 4, and for A prime is going to be 2 over 4. Both of the fractions have the same value. They're equivalent fractions. That means that they're going to be similar. So even though it was mentioned before that they were similar, now we know why. Because they have the same shape and they also have the same ratio. Now you're going to be trying to do this by yourself. The first thing, keep in mind, you're going to write the definitions using the back part of the page. You're also going to be looking at the transformation. What transformation took place? Use the tracing paper provided to ensure that you get the correct transformation. And then after, you need to figure out if it's congruent and similar, or if it's similar but not congruent. I will provide you a hint. Make sure that you put a point right here. I want you to pause the video and solve this problem. Once you have finished the problem, come up to me and ask me for a ticket. You must show me your yellow page in which you have completed this problem. For the third page, we're going to be looking at other shapes as well, but now you're going to be working on this one independently. I want to be giving you a hint. Remember, the first thing we need to do is identify the transformation. In this case, we're changing a small object into a larger object. So that means that we're actually going to be using dilation. We know that it's a dilation. Now we need to figure out by how much. How much bigger is figure C prime compared to figure C. After you do that part, you need to follow the same steps as we did in the first problem.